So the engine's been running a little rough lately. So what we're going to do today, we're going to change the valve cover gasket because there is a leak in the back, as well as replace the spark plugs. Maybe that'll smooth everything out. Also check the air filter. The air filter I replaced a little while ago, but there may be something wrong as far as fitment or the part number because this is a 2.4. I may have gotten, I don't know, maybe the wrong thing. Don't think I did, but we're going to check because it's running a little rough. So we're going to take a look at it. Taking a look at it, we have to remove all of these bolts, remove this vacuum line, take off this electrical run, don't know where that's going, the intake tube right here, then all of the coils, so that way we could remove the valve cover and replace it with a new one. All right, so luckily you don't have to take off the whole harness. All you have to do is just move it out of the way. There are plastic tabs that sit right here. Mine are about 10 years old, so they literally just broke and disintegrated by force, but it is what it is. All you have to do is just clear the way from the valve cover gasket and you should be pretty fine. You could access the screws in the back where you don't have to disconnect any of the fuel lines. You do have to disconnect the coil packs right here. Pull push tabs work pretty great even for the age that they are. And next we're going to disconnect this rail right here and all the other pieces, and then unscrew them and remove the coil packs as well, as in addition to getting the nuts and bolts down there. And then as you can see, there is some oil sitting in there, so I think that's why it's running a little rough on this side of the engine, because bad valve cover gaskets causing a nice clog and making things pretty difficult. So we're gonna make this car run smooth. So good news, there is no oil in the spark plug tubes. So all of the tubes are pretty good. There wasn't no oil on any of the coil packs, so I think we're good as far as that goes. But we're still going to change valve cover gaskets because in here they are swimming with oil. So I undid all of the screws, so now we're going to pop the cover off and replace the gasket. See, now this is what you don't want to see when you're replacing a valve cover, because all of this chips off, becomes brittle, and gets in your engine. Like, this kind of happens with the BRZs and the FRSs, which is why they had that big problem with the gaskets for the oil pan. But you don't want to see all of this stuff on the inside of the engine. Like, the gaskets are good enough. You don't need to put any of this PVC on it. And look, if anything happens, it breaks in and chips off. And even on the inside right now, you can see that there's some of it on the inside. And what we're going to do, we're going to clean all that up and make it nice and pretty and replace the gasket and go from there. See, and you can see it here too. So what I'm gonna do is clean all this off, try not to have any of that fall into the engine at all. But other than that, engine looks pretty good, just running rough at the moment. So, you know, pretty good little car for $500. And if you don't know where I got it from, I'll tell you, and that is today's sponsor. So if you're like me and tired of doom scrolling Facebook Marketplace to find your next project car, or searching around the neighborhood seeing if you could find a barn find, this is where AutoBidMaster comes into play. AutoBidMaster is your gateway to Copart auctions that have hidden gems, clean title cars, and more. You want to know what a Copart auction is? Well, you can ask Matt Armstrong, Tavares, any of these guys who rebuild their supercars. And I found this car on AutoBidMaster. With real-time bidding and expert insights at your fingertips, you'll never miss a good deal. Say you want to find a car that you want to bid on, and the pictures look good and everything else looks good, but you want to know its history. AutoBidMaster is able to provide a clear VIN report so you can see all the history, damage, make, and model of the car, really available right there at your fingertips. Visit AutoBidMaster in the link below and make sure you use the code DEFIANTGARAGE to save $50 off your membership today. You're one bid away from getting your dream car and restoration that you wanted. You're one bid away from getting that supercar that you want to rebuild. Now that the valve cover is getting cleaned up, we are going to throw the spark plugs in. You don't have to take off your valve cover to change your spark plugs. You don't. But since it's open, we're going to throw these ones in and see how it goes. Very simple. You get your 5/8 socket, spark plug socket, and just undo it. The 4 sockets right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to use this, pull them out, and put the new ones in. Completely forgot about my glasses. I was trying to figure out how to record this because my GoPro died, and I forgot I have glasses from Meta. So these Ray-Ban glasses are actually pretty cool. Helps with recording. It's just at the size difference. You know, it's usually good for square or vertical shots, but since I'm doing this, it'll help since my hands are full and my GoPro is dead. So I've gotten 2 out already. Do the final 2. It's always good to just, you know, break the tightness with a ratchet, but, you know, hand screw these to get them out, because you don't want to cross thread them. You don't want to have any issues with them after being threaded. But yeah, these spark plugs are dead, like very, very dead. Here's 3 of them now, so that's why they need to be changed. And it's always good to change them whenever you get a new car, because you don't want to just take somebody's word for it that they changed the spark plugs or redid the oil. It's better if you did it yourself, just to be sure. You know, if you can see that the valve cover is in good shape, you know, you don't have to change the valve cover. But if you do see leaks or oil, anything like that, do so. And if it's a high mileage car, you know, change the spark plugs. It won't hurt anything to do so. I think $10 a spark plug, or maybe less depending on your car. And it's always good. Give yourself a tune-up. And last one. Yeah. Good thing we're getting rid of these. These are Champion OE. These are supposed to be the OEM version of the spark plugs needed for the Dart. Let's see what codes are on here. Is this the code? No. Maybe? Yes, 9775. And 18 foot-pounds. So 18 foot-pounds of torque is what is needed to put these back in. These come pre-gapped already, so you don't have to worry about that. Slide it in, and again, you want to hand thread these back in so that way there's no issues. But if you want a side-by-side comparison, clearly new, visibly old. So, and these are Champion as well. So, look at that. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to double tighten these. Make sure that there aren't any revolutions left to tighten them down. But I'm not going to over tighten them with the socket wrench. So. Like I said, you don't want to tighten them too much. Just want to make sure that they're all the way down. All right, spark plugs are placed. Now we're going to put the valve cover back on and tighten this all back up. So, all right, so replacing all the gaskets, you had to replace the gaskets on the bolts as well. The pack came with that, and we did have some leaks with these seals, so went ahead and replaced all of those. I'm going to add the link of the bolt pattern right here on screen right now so you guys can see what the bolt order is for the valve cover gasket. And what we're going to do now is throw these back on the engine. So let's do that. All right, so the gasket is all good now, fully pressed, fully compressed. No need for any gasket sealer. You know, we're good with that. It's all clean on the inside. No bits and pieces that are hanging off. So this is ready to go back on. So let's make sure this is fitting correctly, sitting where it needs to. Alright, so this looks about good. What we're going to do is take the screws now and screw them in the correct bolt pattern. So like the spark plugs, you want to hand tighten these to make sure that, you know, they all sit correctly and that there's no cross threading. You don't want any issues with that. You do want to make sure that it is tightened to 20 foot-pounds. so that way it's nice and snug and sealed to go. Alright, so finishing up the last few bolts now, and making sure that you do it in the correct order with the right torque spec, because you don't want to tighten these and break the bolt, because sometimes it will be a pain to get right back out again. So we'll tighten these down, then throw the coils back in, tighten those bolts, where are those bolts? I think they're still in the coils, I'm pretty sure. Alright, so put the air intake back on, reconnected it to the air box. I'm going to screw in this screw right here, plug in the MAF sensor, and it will be put back together. No leftover screws, you want to make sure you don't have that, and you want to make sure everything's working once you're done. So I'm going to put this back together, I'm going to do a startup and then do a quick drive around the neighborhood, and we should call it a day after that.